It's incredibly rare that I find a game that is so broken and unplayable beyond belief that I feel compelled to make a video to tell everyone to just not buy this game. But OtterBash is sadly one of those games. It's a 1 to 4 player local multiplayer battle game where you are able to go into one of 7 different locations and wage war against the other otters. You'll start off with a kind of row, as a bit like when, do you remember PS1 RPGs when you used to have everyone following each other around on a world map and you all kind of marched behind? Your otters start off like that, basically, and the idea is that as you run around collecting various different weapons, you can then attack the other otter tribes, and then as you lose a life, you lose an otter from your kind of little snake that's going around, and then last otter standing wins. The problem with all of this is that the game is broken, so it's actually really difficult to even get a game started before you can even get into the game to actually play it to begin with. So let's start off with the first problem. The menus are so broken that if you don't press certain buttons in a certain order, you can't actually get into the game itself. This is particularly problematic when you've got multiple players trying to choose their otter, because the game can't handle more than one person doing something at once, and so it freezes and breaks. If you try to back out from a menu, it doesn't understand what you're trying to do, and so it will break the menu and you'll have to Control-Alt-Delete to close the game because it's hard crashed and you'll have to go again. If you are lucky enough to be able to get out of the menu into the actual game itself, whether or not one of those locations actually loads is pretty much a roulette wheel. Once you then get into those locations, sadly, it's continuously downhill from here. The locations are supposed to have environmental traps so that you can shove maybe an otter into an oven, for example, or down the sink or drain. But some of those traps don't actually work, and so you just fall out of the world and break the game. Next thing is that the actual aiming and the way how the otters kind of run around, the graphics are absolutely atrocious and very difficult to be able to make out what's going on, particularly in some levels where there just seems to be brown vision going on. It's really, really quite difficult and tricky to navigate and work out what's going on, and the camera is appalling because it zooms in and out and gets stuck behind different things. If you are able to pick up a weapon, sometimes it triggers, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes, when it does trigger, it breaks you and you lose a life instead because sometimes it just doesn't work the way how it's expected. The idea around this is that it's supposed to be 4-player local player, but bots are supposed to be and are advertised as being part of the game. But bots do not exist in OtterBash. They never have and they never will because the game has clearly been abandoned. You're also supposed to be able to have 2 people play on a keyboard or 4 on controllers or whatever it is that you're doing. But we found that if you had 2 controllers plugged in, the game couldn't understand that you had 2 controllers and would start to override each other. And so we got stuck on one person playing on keyboard, one person on a controller. Steam Remote Play does not work with this. It breaks the menus. You can't get into it. The entire game is just an utter mess. And genuinely, I haven't had the privilege, I guess, of playing a game that is out for release, not in early access, but still this broken. And I don't think I've had this issue for years, like years of having this level of brokenness on a game that is out there for sale for people. I don't understand how this cannot be removed from sale and taken down because it doesn't deserve anybody's money or time or effort in any way, shape or form. I'm sorry for the random gameplay that I've had to put in over the top of this, but that's the level of what I could get going on this game because nothing worked. And so you're just watching me running around against myself, just triggering things against a empty player 2. Because as soon as you got into having other people playing at the same time, the game falls over and breaks. So just avoid. This is probably the lowest score game I will ever score in my entire life. And it makes those horrific games on PlayStation where it's a platinum in 30 seconds look like masterpieces. Disgraceful. Take it off sale now. Higher Plane Games is part of the Higher Plane Network, a completely independent media outlet supported by people like you. The goal is to create the best possible content that cultivates a richer indie scene for games as well as music and entertainment. To find out more and to get involved, visit patreon.com/Higher Network. Your support makes all the difference, and in return you'll gain access to bonus content and downloads. Thank you for watching.